You are now listening to Carlie's Couch.
I'm Carlie.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy.
In this episode of Carlie's Couch, we talk about why rushing actually doesn't get you anywhere fast. Why do we feel so pressured to rush? What should we be doing if we feel like we're rushing so much? This and more coming up. Dun, dun, dun.
The top of the hour, we have Alexia Clincy.
Today, we are going to talk about rushing, trying to do things too fast. I don't know. I feel like this is also a big thing I see in like a lot of ADHD content. And in general, I know in the past we talked about that before, where it's like you're running into the kitchen to do something, then you bump to the wall, and you know, like you just be doing too much too fast and not paying attention, not being present, and just what is that about? That's what we're going to talk about today.
What it makes me think of is like the final straw is when your belt loop gets stuck on a door, and you just get, you're like, ugh! Like, okay, hold on.
And now I just be like, you're right, let me slow down. Let me just slow down, bro. It's too much. Think about the places that you rush in life, and we're going to figure out, like, what is that really telling us about ourselves or what we might be going through right now?
Mm-hmm. Man, the things that it makes me think of, like, in real life is waking up late or spending. I don't usually wake up late, actually. It's just that I overestimate the amount of time that I have, and then I move slower because I'm like, oh, I have a whole an hour and a half where I need to be somewhere. And then it's 10 minutes, and I need to be out the door, and I ain't did all my stuff. And so that makes me start rushing, or I wait for the last minute to get some, like, to do some butters. And I'm like, okay, I can do it. I can wait. I can wait. And then all of a sudden you can't wait. And now I'm up till, like the other night, up till 3 o'clock in the morning working on something that, not butters, but on something else that I should have had done.
Yep. And this does tie into procrastination and some of the other things we talk about, because at the end of the day, like, rushing doesn't actually move you forward so much. It makes you anxious. It makes you messy. And procrastinators typically feel at home in that space of anxiety and pressure and all of that, which is why it kind of keeps putting you in that same cycle. And so we're going to kind of talk about how to slow down a little bit and break that. So those are some examples that Carlie had of rushing. For me, sometimes, this is actually all the time. For me, I'm very impatient, so I like to interrupt people's stories. Finish what they're talking about, be like, yeah, right? Because, like, let's get to it. And then just in general, like, forcing things, speeding through tasks, rushing. Like, when I'm with some people who drive a certain way, I'm just, like, so blown because it's like, you just don't have to do this. Or, like, when you're driving and you see somebody who speeds around you, but then they're at the same stoplight, like, what'd you accomplish? Like, it's really just not worth it.
Yeah, and so it's like, well, why do we rush? Why do people rush? What are some reasons that you think that people rush?
Because they might have a fear of being behind. Even if you set yourself up to be in that predicament, we have a fear that, I'm not going to get there in time. I'm not going to get outside enough time, get to the place in time, be ready for this meeting in time, get married in time, like whatever it is. We have this like construct of time, and that we have to like cut some off, and like we have to do things so much faster. So just like that fear of being behind or not on time is obviously a thing that makes people rush.
Oh man, you just blew my mind, because I wasn't even thinking about rushing relationships and rushing other stuff, like
main
business
things people
stuff.
Rush.
Yeah,
rushing your decisions because you're scared. That's coming from a place of lack. All of those types of rushes are coming from a place of lack, because I might not meet somebody else, or I might not have a chance to have another baby, or I need this client right now. Whatever it is, like those decisions are rushed because I don't feel like I have what I need right now, or I feel like something is missing, and nothing's ever really missing.
It's not, but that's that lack of trust. Like, you're not trusting timing, you're not trusting in yourself, you're not trusting in God and the universe and whatever you believe in. You are just not trusting anything.
And then that's where we get all these downfalls, because it's going to be enough stuff to happen to make you have to be like, you know what? I'm going to let go and let God. That's why niggas be at their lowest. And it's like, all that had to happen so you can realize, like, you right. So instead of doing all that, we could just slow down and we can just tell ourselves, I got it. I got what I need. Okay. Another reason why people rush is like just trying to prove yourself. You know, you want to show people how great you are, how good business is, or whatever else. You want to look so great, and so you want to post about this relationship, and you know, whatever the things are, right? Again, it's coming from a place of lack and needing to like prove yourself. But that could definitely be a reason to rush.
There's also discomfort with like a silence or a stillness, or discomfort with where you are that happens for a lot of people. I would also even elaborate to say just poor planning, because you have this negative mindset in your head about yourself, or you in relationships, or you in whatever. So you're really just perpetrating those things in your life.
Yeah. But when we rush, man, we just make space for more mistakes. And that's the sucky part, because it's like the rushing is you're doing a lot more movement and you're feeling a lot of the stress, and you're not always as effective or efficient with like whatever the final, you know, output is.
Yo, people love to say, oh, I do it for the plot, I'm doing it for this, I always work better under pressure. But actually, scientifically, you don't, because most of the time you're in fight or flight and you're not as smart. Your IQ is not as high whenever you're in fight or flight. So it's actually not as good for you.
And I always tell myself now, and have said to others, like, yeah, if we are so good under pressure, like imagine how much better you could be if you gave yourself more than 8 hours to do whatever, right?
Yep. In relationships, whenever you're rushing, it can make people feel dismissed or unseen or not heard. And all that frenetic energy makes it harder to connect with people.
Oftentimes, like, relations can get to a space where it's like, finally, it all comes to like this head of like, oh, you're not listening, you never listen, and you don't understand because you're always doing stuff. But like, it's much more important to slow down and pay attention to obviously another human being.
And so if those are things that happen when we rush, what does rushing say about where we are internally?
In thinking about myself, probably a lot of times when I'm rushing, it is telling me that I am wanting and accepting like the anxiety, or like maybe you need to feel something, you need the rush, because the procrastinating and that anxiety that's with that is like it is a light bulb. It is light. It is for lack of a better word, not to say it's good or bad, but it is a light and an energy. And you still can practice like getting that energy out of getting something done early. Like that does feel good too. It's like, oh, I got something done. That feels actually better without the anxiety. But to me, it when I'm rushing, what it tells me about myself is like, oh, I'm still in a space where I want to thrive off of that feeling. So that's one thing.
Yeah, it can also stem from a lack of confidence. So you're putting yourself in these positions to thrive off of that, to just keep going, because maybe you're too scared to do it whenever you have enough time, because then what does it say about you if you fail, or if you fall up short, or if all of these things? It's like you're taking it too personal because you're scared of a thing.
It can also be connected to needing and wanting to feel control, because when we rush, that's more of us reacting, and you're trying to grab for like figuring it out, or oh man, well let me try to shave 5 minutes, and you're trying to control the situation, where earlier you wouldn't have even really had to control, you know, any of those things. Is there anything else though that you can think about, like even with a specific space or place for yourself where you find yourself rushing sometimes, like what that means for you internally, like what's going on? And it might could also mean and reflect that actually I need to rest or to take more time to just be still. Because when I'm rushing or needing to like do all these things, then it might mean that I'm procrastinating because I actually needed that time to not do anything. But it would be better if I did like do things in the time that I should, so that I had that ample up and down throughout, as opposed to like now I'm doing the most because I'm trying to make up for something.
Absolutely. My mind went to like disorganization as a whole, like will throw you off. And if you're not intentional about how you spend your time, or where you're putting it, or how you're setting yourself up for success, you're going to have to eat it on the back end regardless. Like, so
that's the thing about rushing too. It's like in general, it's really not a win if you're having to rush. It's more a win when you can be chill and calm. Like that's why like the days that feel the best sometimes are those days where you can get up and it's like, oh, I don't have to rush right into doing anything before a meeting, or I can read a little bit before I start the day, or in the middle of the day, let me take a moment, let me walk around the block. Like, to have that luxury of not having to rush is let me not say what you ought to, but for me, it's and based off of my values and priorities, that's really when I feel the most like, oh, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, the freedom of the slow mornings, the freedom of how you want to spend your time and how intentional you are, and the freedom to take care of yourself and to exercise in the middle of the day and to take a nice shower, cook a nice meal, like eat a nice meal, whatever your thing is, like that is the freedom. And we lie to ourselves whenever we say that the win is in rushing to get things done. It's not. It's in the freedom to literally spend our time however we want to.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any examples of like a time you rushed?
Man,
There's so many.
a million, but I was just thinking, whenever I did not this past, like last week, didn't get my project stuff done in time, took a nap but it's also like I wasn't taking care of myself, right? So here's the thing, I was so tired, so burnt out that I took a nap when I could have been working on my project. So then I was up at 3:00 in the morning working on some dumb shit. And then I was trying to leave and stepped on a hanger and like almost did the splits in my room. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to slow down because it's never that serious.
Yeah.
You know what? Hold on. I got another one. Nah, because we ain't talked about this. So first day at camp. And I wasn't even, I had frenetic energy and I was rushing because of camp was rushing. I personally was not rushing, but you can get caught up in that riptide energy.
Yeah, first of all, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me, big dog. But I was ordering Starbucks for the team on my phone while walking kids from one side of campus to the other, not paying attention to where I was. Next thing I know, I face planted on this ground. Bro, face planted. So I was walking, I was ordering the stuff because I was trying to make sure it gets in. So the teachers had coffee, I was trying to get these kids, but I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't being present. Tripped on a storm drain. And I had a backpack on like Dora, so that whole slammed me into the ground. I did. And my phone like hit the ground and bounced out of my hands.
Dang.
And then like shout out to one of the girls though who stopped. She was here last year. She was very kind. She just helped me up. She didn't laugh. She didn't say shit. I was dusty. I had to then go in and teach a mindful moment. And I had dust all over me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this no more. Like,
that's real.
I'm gonna take my time. It's gonna be what it is.
That looking at your phone or like trying to do things at the same time while you're walking that will always humble you, because it's always a little like ooh, on the sidewalk or something. You're about to run into somebody. And you're like, damn, now I look like an asshole for real. And it's like, I try to think about that and remember that when people are doing that to me, because I love like when I'm walking and I see somebody in the front, I'm like, oh y'all, you better look up because you about to run into me. But also I'm like, but sometimes I do that. Or when I'm walking, I'm looking at the phone, I'm like, but just put it down for a second, like. Or especially, it's like, why do we pick our phone up when we're crossing the street? And I'm like, girl, you better pay attention.
Knees to chest, baby. Come on.
Yeah, like you got to pay attention to what's going on. And so I try to have a little more grace because it's so easy to have your phone out all the time. I was rushing. Thankfully, it made my flight, but I was rushing because I was in the club at like 3 a.m. and I had a flight. Well, our driver was supposed to be there for us at this hotel at 7. So I'm like, oh, I bet I'm turning my alarm on. But the alarm I'm putting on for 6:30 and it said 6:30 tomorrow. Not realizing like, oh yeah, it's already tomorrow.
Oh no.
So in the morning it was like 7:09 and I was like, it's kind of bright. And I looked at my phone and my watch and I was like, I did the little KD joint and I was like, oh shoot. I ain't have nothing packed because it's like, I was like, oh, I can wake up and just do it tomorrow. So I'm like throwing stuff in there. Not me, but the other person I was with left their whole laptop at the hotel. Luckily, like it was still there when they got home and realized they left it. But like, it's just doing too much too fast. It just it doesn't feel good. Like your heart's racing. You're trying not to forget stuff. I was musty on the plane. I was smelling like alcohol and shit. Like it was bad. All because it's like you're being late, and then especially when it affects other people, that's never a good feeling either. So, yeah, plenty of stories of rushing and just it not making sense at all.
Ever.
Especially with work. That's the worst feeling too. Like trying to rush something and then like maybe some content goes out, but then you see a mistake and it's like, oh, and you're trying to delete stuff or go back. We killed off somebody with a social media post at one time because it misunderstood something in the email and hit go. And it was like, nah, she didn't pass away actually, but now it's weird because we're preparing for it. So, yeah, you just got to slow down. And sometimes it feels like going slow isn't moving fast enough, but it's like there's a point between where you're doing not enough and too much, and you really just got to find that pace where it's like, well, let me make sure I am not in a space to make mistakes. So Yeah, pay attention.
I think that space is setting your future self up for success and not failure. And so whatever that is. So even if like y'all had packed that night before, like then waking up late, okay, still you can't always do that. But like little things you can do that we put off, like getting gas the night, like I'm gonna get gas in the morning. No, you're
Play
not.
yourself.
Please stop lying to yourself. Go get the gas right now.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
That's the
So when you slow down, the benefits of that are being better prepared and actually better set up for success half of the time. More clarity, making better decisions, especially when we're talking about stuff like relationships and having kids and taking on clients or whatever. Like actually think about those things. And again, so this just happened to me yesterday/today, is I got an email from somebody about wanting to work with our company. Cool. Like, of course, at first you're like, oh yeah, that's great. But I was like, no, let me think on this and let me really digest what they're saying, because everything's not a good fit. And I recognize though that because I feel set up, taken care of, whole, all the things right now is the only reason why I would actually be like, well, let me actually see if this makes sense, as opposed to being like, yep, I'll take the check. You know what I mean? Immediately. And so I also understand that, like, when I said before, like sometimes the rushing comes from like a feeling of the lack. And so that's one of the things you first can feel. And if you have that where you're not really making a move out of lack, but you're making a move out of like paying attention to the logic and what makes sense and where do you actually want to go and what can you actually do, it's just such clearer and better decisions without it just being like trying to speed through because you feel like you need something.
Whew, that is a whole word. Another benefit of slowing down is the ability to be fully present and to enjoy the moment, and be fully present with people that you love, and to, like, you go on vacation, connect with them, and to actually be in the place and to see the culture and the whatever, to enjoy a meal, to actually enjoy a meal instead of scarfing it down, like savoring. It allows you to savor things.
That's something I do now too, recently. And then sometimes I'll be like, oh shoot, I forgot to do it. But you know how a lot people will pray before they eat, and I guess it's kind of like a similar, but like I started doing more so of like, okay, I am eating this not because I just want to like I'm starving or I want to taste the food, like the usual fat stuff that I do, or I like to eat just because I like to eat, but really being intentional about like, man, this is a nourishing meal. Like I'm so thankful for this. I'm glad to be eating this. This is for my muscles and for my body and to do what it needs to do. And it just feels like coming from a different place before you enjoy a thing. And I think that's so important, mostly because sometimes I'll finish a meal and be like, ooh, that was good. Or I'll be like, oh, I'm stuffed. And I'm like, I didn't think before I ate. Like I wasn't intentional. And just being intentional about anything and everything is a sense of slowing down for a second, just to reframe your thoughts around what's this food going to even do for you or how you're going to enjoy it.
Which is so important. So you have that deeper connection with all the things around you, with nature, with people in your life, with food, with movement, if you're super intentional about that. And then also efficiency, I think, is a benefit of slowing down. You make less mistakes and have more intentional outcomes.
All of that being said, it's so important that we slow down a bit, or at least just not rush. So how do we start slowing down, like in real life? If you're so used to just being like, go, 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 or procrastinate or setting myself up.
Mindful moment. I think it's always important to stop and breathe. Even when you get places, like I've started practicing like, like park, like, all right, thank you for a safe drive. Like I'm about to have a good day. Like just that little extra moment of intention, that little extra breath or pause before you speak, before you reply to somebody. Like that really helps me slow down.
Yeah, same as with the intentional before eating. I also am trying to remember before a meeting or before I go into a place. It's like, all right, what am I here to do? What am I open to right now? And like just kind of pausing for a second before you just hop into stuff, for sure. Obvious habit is leaving earlier. Like I know I'm always be like, as my alarm going off, like, all right, I could do it in 20 minutes. And then it's like, why am I doing this every time? But like really just forcing yourself to pop up or to set time. Give yourself an extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Like you just don't want to be that person who's just always late. Like literally just give yourself a little more time and just try to stick to that.
I think something in that same vein that is helpful is setting up the things you can the night before, whether it's prepping your meal, prepping your clothes, setting out like what is actually your goal for the morning, so you don't have to think about that first thing in the morning, but any way you can set yourself up for success and have less emotional fatigue the next day trying to make decisions.
Yeah, that does always feel good when that busy work of planning out what you need to do or knowing what you need to do is already taken care of, and so you can just get started. That is very helpful to go into the day with that for sure. Another thing is mindset-wise, instead of feeling like, oh, hurry up, I need to go faster, I need to figure this out right now, reminding yourself like, oh, I have enough time. Let me take my time. And that way, whatever you're doing, you're probably going to do it a little bit more efficiently.
Yep. And then you have accepting situations as they are. What do you mean?
And so by that is, let's say there's an accident on the highway, and this isn't, you left a little early. Things happen all the time. There's an accident on the highway or something's happening, or, you got a call and it's like, oh, actually, can we change it to this real quick? Other things, right? And instead of rushing and instead of getting upset and being like, I'm trying to figure out what you need to do, it's like, all right, I'm about to be late for this. Like, accepting that you're going to be late and not using that as a time to now speed up the highway so you can be the next accident, but being okay with that. I've been trying to do this recently too, where it's like, okay, this is happening. And that's kind of all you need to do because this is happening. Like, so what now? What am I getting out of this? Or wherever things are about to go is where they're going to go. And it doesn't really help to stress out about it. So just kind of practicing like woosawing on things that are happening around you, especially out of your control, and accepting what's what.
Phew, that actually helped me the other day. So I was driving to camp last day and just got off the phone like, hey, I need you to do this in the morning. Great. And my car wouldn't go into the next gear. And I was like, oh, no. Got off the highway. Oh, no. Curved around a little curve, parked my car, looked at Uber, was like, I ain't spending $60 on this. Yeah. But praise the Lord, the universe put me right next to a parking ride, hopped on that train, made it in time. But, like, taking that pause before I was like, or like, oh my God, this is not like all of that to say, like, I was on the train. You can't super deep breathe on the train because it's the train, but I was taking my little breaths and I was just being present and like accepting things, but it literally helped me get everything done and get to exactly where I needed to be right on time.
And sometimes it's reminding you of things like, yeah, I know I was supposed to go to the mechanic like 2 weeks ago, or, like, yeah, you're right, I do need to be saving up for my car, or, whatever the things are that's going on. Sometimes it reminds you of the priorities or the shift that you may need to make in your priorities, in what you're doing, in how you're living, et cetera, et cetera. And so, again, take those reminders and do something with them before you keep getting reminded and have to deal with things and fall on your face before you realize, like, what's what.
Oh, you about to do a poetry slam where you keep getting reminded.
And then, my brother,
this week, try moving. See, look, here you go again. Try moving at the pace of presence.
Come on now.
Whether that's letting
talk to her, Carlie.
Whether that's letting somebody finish their thought, giving yourself a moment to breathe before reacting, or choosing to trust that you have enough time. I'm going to add to enjoy even your surroundings or the people that you're spending your time with. Take some time this week to be more present, and also to notice when you're rushing. Hit us at Carlie's Couch and let us know how it goes.
See you next time.